Entire team ban.
And we're back for game number 2 of this best of 3. Rattlesnake taking on LGD, and Rattlesnake is down to midnight hour, dropping game 1. And, I mean, call it what it is. It was an ugly, ugly game for Rattlesnake, a game that had to be that's the kind of game that I really worry about, really, especially in a situation like this where you're now down to your last opportunity to stay alive. And as I mentioned during the opening monologue, Rattlesnake is in this bizarre situation where even though they battled hard to get here and it's been a group stage and all that, it is so close here in this group that if they win today, they finish in first place and go immediately to the LAN finals. If they lose, it's not like they get to play their way out. They're gone. They are completely eliminated if they lose here today. And now with just one game, one game away, I should say, they have to win 2 in a row against a team who just beat them as badly as I've ever seen a professional team beaten. And I don't say that lightly. I've seen some ugly games. But that was the most thorough dismantling I think I've ever witnessed in terms of 2 teams that are on the same competitive level. And they're going to have to bounce back quick. And what I say that makes me worry about that, sometimes you take a loss like that, it's really hard to recover mentally because you know thousands of people just watch that happen. And you know, I mean, and it's not as if Rattlesnake went into that going, well, we just, you know, this is a bad draft and therefore it doesn't matter. That's you know, they drafted their way through and that was, you know, a good shot from them. They were taking their best shot at getting a game 1 win and just got completely pounded. So gonna have to show some mental resiliency here and the ability to bounce back quickly. And LGD says, you know what? We like Dragon Knight. We like the way he felt. How about we pick him up for 2 games in a row? They're going to be putting with a Magnus as well as a Leshrac. Magnus, of course, with Empower. And going to make that Dragon Knight a much more lethal force early on, even before he gets a BKB up. It really creates a situation where he may just skip a BKB, especially in the mid-game, and focus on other items instead, relying on the bonus damage from Empower to give him that extra push potential. And that's something that really isn't talked about that much in a lot of cases and is slept on, is Dragon Knight's level 1 ultimate, the Poison Dragon form, actually does put damage over time to towers. The poison effect does stack on towers, so that makes him really potent in terms of being able to push at level 6. Now you've got a Leshrac with him, Magnus, who can dive behind towers very easily to land an RP and get a fight going in your direction. And Rattlesnake, not taking any chances, gonna go with Juggernaut. Now, it's still hard to call how exactly they're going to lane this out, but you see a Juggernaut pick up like this, 9 times out of 10 you're going to see one of 2 situations. He's either going to be tri-laned, and you're going to farm him up to some sort of a mid-game centric build, phase drums, just about ubiquitous on the hero, and then you're going to look to push off of his inherent strengths in the early phases as well, get a couple of points in the healing ward, and push behind that. Or you can run him solo lane. You can put him mid, you can put him in the long lane, and much like we saw Lifestealer's ability to at least soak up experience of not the best farm in game number 1, what he can do is rely on the magic immunity that comes with Blade Fury as a get-out-of-jail-free card. It'll allow him to play a little bit more forward and to soak some experience, take some chances on last hits, and then be able to get himself away if the worst should happen. So Rattlesnake still has options open to them. LGD, though, very well-rounded so far. The pushing potential out of a level 6 Dragon Knight and Leshrac with Edict going to be through the roof. To say nothing of the team fight potential, and already you can see that they're going to have a little bit. I mean, Dragon Knight is an excellent late-game carry. He gets a free Scotty at 16, and that's certainly nothing to sleep on. He's what I'd call a hero who manages the battlefield. Usually, you'll see him go with one other carry, like just hanging all of your hopes on Dragon Knight as your only late-game potential. Usually not the best call to make. So what tends to happen is you'll see him paired up with another carry or an off carry or something like that. And then at the late stages, he becomes, like I said, a manager of the battlefield. He'll get things like a BKB, an Assault Cuirass, and so on. And he relies on the slow that comes off of his level 16 ultimate, his level 3 ultimate, I should say, that he gets at level 16 to really just keep the flow of the battle moving in his team's favor. But with the Magnus pickup, you're going to be able to follow up a reverse polarity with a Split Earth. You're going to have a mass amount of magic damage coming out of just pure spam abilities like Shockwave, like Breathe Fire. So LGD is going to have plenty of versatility and the ability to fight very effectively early on. Now, the Nyx Assassin pick does help deal with that a little bit. Nyx Assassin is excellent against lineups that like to spam abilities just because of Spike Carapace, but it all comes down to execution. And yeah, LGD just saying, you know what, we're cool to fight, man. We like the way a 21-minute win feels. How about we pick a lineup that has the potential to give that to us again? So I just want to paint a picture for you And imagine if they're able to put together the fight like this. Magnus blinks in, gets an RP, even if he just skewers in, even if he only gets 2 or 3. So the skewer lands, you have Leshrac follow that stun up with a Split Earth, Queen of Pain, able to pour out Scream of Pain plus Sonic Wave to catch those targets, and then Dragon Knight blows his ulti, uses Breathe Fire, follows up with a Dragon Tail on the highest priority target, and right-clicks down the entire squad, especially if you're talking around level 11 or level 16 when he does have this. If he does end up putting his second point into his ultimate, his Dragon Knight, he'll have the splash damage that comes from that, as well as, of course, that potent level 3 ultimate. So the synergy of heroes between LGD is just through the roof. And more importantly, those heroes are going to work well at just about any stage of the game. Now, the Gyrocopter pickup now out of Rattlesnake, I really, really like that pickup. Gyro is a, I mentioned this in game 1. And it's a concept, and I mean, it's not as if I'm a brilliant guy for thinking of it. It's just kind of the way I tag heroes in my head. Gyrocopter and Juggernaut both kind of serve as anchor heroes. Juggernaut's healing ward allows his team to stay in a fight or to just stay under a tower even after taking some harassment a lot longer than most lineups can. Gyrocopter with the early game power that comes with Rocket Barrage and Call Down in particular, to say nothing of Flat Cannon as his right-click damage begins to go up and up. Gyrocopter is very difficult to engage into unless you can reliably pick him off early. Again, that's going to be Magnus's job, Queen of Pain. I mean, the burst damage potential, both in an AoE and on single targets from LGD, is through the roof. So BKB is going to be immensely important for Rattlesnake. They do have some things that can help. Shadow Demon's ability to disrupt a hero who gets himself in trouble. Juggernaut, again, the magic immunity that I had talked about that gives him the solo lane potential of being able to Blade Fury out of trouble. Nyx Assassin with Spy Carapace. Gyrocopter, though, going to be the one really under the gun to get himself a BKB as quickly as he can. But Bane, the pickup from LGD, and the last time the Puppy and I broadcasted, I want to say it was actually LGD versus Orange, if I'm not mistaken. Could very well be wrong. I'm pretty sure it was, though. We saw just how hard a Bane can counter a Gyrocopter. Bane's ability to get off an enfeeble that is not dispelled by BKB can just shut down a Gyrocopter's ability to push tier 2s and tier 3s immensely, if he's able to get in the right position and get the enfeeble off at the right time. So Bane is just one of those heroes. He works really well in the laning phase, and I mean, I would say the lanes right now have a pretty clear-cut look to them. Actually, I'm going to take that back. There are some cute things LGD could do here, one of which is they could actually offensively tri-lane the Queen of Pain and then run either the DK or the Magnus mid and then run the other in the offlane. That very well could happen. And we'll wait and see. They could end up just playing it safe with the DK in the defensive tri-lane that stick the Mag mid and the Queen of Pain, or excuse me, the Mag long lane and the Queen of Pain mid. But the lineup rounded out from Rattlesnake. Going to be some more team fight potential coming out. And, this is something Rattlesnake has shown us throughout their time here in the G1 League, Phase 2, Phase 3, and so on and so forth. They really like to fight early. They love team fight-oriented compositions. They love just having a lot of heroes who can walk into a fight, blow their abilities, do a lot of damage in an AoE, and get the job done. And when you're talking about heroes that have a lot of reach to start engagements, and that's something else that really has been a calling card of them. Kabu, not having the best game in Game 1 on Clockwork, but up until that game, one of the more impressive individual performers here in G1, especially on that hero. Loves the reach of Hook. We're not going to see him on our puck this time. It is going to be Luo. But Luo gives them the exact same thing. And in fact, gives it to them in a very different way than I think I actually prefer, especially against this lineup of LGD. Compared to a Clockwork. Clockwork with the Hook and the Cogs, excellent hero, that's fine. But the AoE silence that comes out of Waning Rift going to be of immense importance for Rattlesnake. And they're looking for a first blood here. They're spotted out. And going to drop down a ward. There's a disruption. Siler's there with long DD, and yeah, they're going to try to go for this. Here comes the Blade Fury. They think better of it, though. Ultra aggressive out of Rattlesnake. And don't mind that, really. I mean, it's not like you're going to have TP reactions. If you get down here and you're confident that all you're seeing is a tri-lane, then there you go. And they are actually going to mid the Mag. They are going to mid the Mag and offlane the Queen of Pain, I think. Mag sitting back near the tier 3 in mid. And I don't mind that one little bit, especially given how they can pretty confidently anticipate how these lanes are going to go, I think. Should be the Gyrocopter farming either solo or out of the tri-lane. And are they actually going to offensively tri-lane this? Okay, they are. At least for the moment. Now, this works pretty well, too. The only problem I see out of this for Rattlesnake is going to be they cannot make a positioning mistake. There is so many ways for LGD to just lock a hero down forever. Getting off a Nightmare, follow it up with a Split Earth, then you're going to have Dragon Tail, which is where the first point of Siler was spent. Then you're going to start having things like Split Earth, or excuse me, Edict and Breathe Fire show their face, to say nothing of 1 point in the Brain Sap, which is a pretty potent nuke and gives Bane a lot of survivability. But as I mentioned during the draft, the reason they can do this and still feel pretty good about it is every one of these heroes, all three of them, have some way to get themselves or a friend out of trouble. It is really hard to continue to engage onto a target when a Spike Carapace from a Nyx Assassin is running at you. It's really hard to engage into a Blade Fury. Really hard to engage whenever you know Disruption has the potential to disjoint your chain of initiation at any given point. We'll keep an eye on this lane just because I feel like this is a lane that could get out of control going either way very, very quickly if either team makes a mistake. I do want to run through our lineups. I may not have time, though, and I may just have to forego that. Might take a bit longer. I can talk about this lane at least. Xiaowei going to be on Leshrac. Sylar handling our DK and Long DD on Bane. Sag will be on our Nyx Assassin and Kabu. Handling our Juggernaut this time around, and the captain, Lanham, going to be playing on Shadow Demon. Going to go ahead and flash to the top lane. Yao going to be handling our Queen of Pain up against Luo, who's playing our Puck. Should be a pretty good lane for Queen of Pain, all things considered. Magnus going to be handled in mid by DDC, and he's going to be up against Icy. And we can see Icy's actually put 2 points in the Rocket Barrage. That's a little surprising to me. Usually in a one-on-one like this, especially when you're up against the melee, you're going to want to max your Flak Cannon ahead of anything else just because of the potential you have to run him out of lane or at least make him burn through his regen. And we can already see the bottle's up on DDC. He did just go with Tangos plus Branches. Going to be a bottle up on Icy as well. A little not even pre-running, just DDC getting himself in. That's going to be an invis. And just going to bring it on back to lane. So far, 2 minutes in, no blood on the board yet. But we can see the early CS going the way of LGD for the moment. Queen of Pain is having her way with Puck, doubling him up in that top lane. Now here's a disruption. Lanham throws out the Soul Catcher as well. And we're going to have Sag eating a Dragon's Tail. There's an Impale. And Zhao 8 maybe... Ooh, Blade Fury's there, and Juggernaut with his tier 1 boots. What a nightmare out of Long DD. Oh, wow! They're going to end up getting the first blood, but a beautifully timed Split Earth right before he dropped allows them to turn one around. Great play by Leshrac, his dying wish to be avenged. And that dying wish granted to him. First blood, though, does go the way of Rattlesnake, so not the optimum trade. And now they're going to go again. There's the Soul Catcher out and the Nightmare. Going to be used immediately, and that's taken off by Lanham. Sylar engaged upon. Long DD's below half health. And Kabu's going to go for it again. Those tier 1 boots, quite potent, but not potent enough to dive behind the tier 1. Slowly hopping his way back to lane as Leshrac doesn't look like he had enough gold to afford a TP scroll on respawn, so finally makes it back. That'll let him and his squad feel a little bit more comfortable. Kabu continuing to just be a menace, and this is working out pretty well for Rattlesnake, all things considered. Here in mid, Gyro's at top. Actually, DDC's doing an admirable job, and hold on. They're playing very aggressive now. Kabu even showing his face on the other side of the trees surrounding the tier 1 bottom. And this could be very chancy. Yeah, Long DD just had to back out. And will be coming back to lane momentarily. But see, this is much more suited to Rattlesnake, I think. This is what they like to do. They love to play aggressive lineups. They're very much like an Empire of the East, is a good way to put it. They just feel, when you watch them play, you can tell they're more confident running this kind of a lineup. And now there's another disruption. Soul Catcher goes off. Nightmare as well. Kabu taking some damage. Forced back. Mana burn on Long DD. And that's one factor I haven't talked a whole lot about. Is mana burn coming out of Sag is going to be really difficult for Long DD and Xiaowei to manage early on. Mana issues, of course, I mean, that's just part of Bane and Leshrac early on. They're going to have problems with their mana, especially if they're losing it constantly, not just because they're casting spells, but because it's being burned off of them. That's going to allow this lane to play even more aggressive out of Rattlesnake. Back to mid, I am really impressed with DDC here. And taking a look at Icy, he's only got 1 point in the Flak Cannon. That makes no sense to me. No sense at all. Basically, DDC is bottle crowing. He's had decent rune control so far. We see Icy did get the second one. First one did go the way of DDC. But when you do that Rocket Barrage one-on-one, it makes it very, very difficult to get the isolation you need to get the maximum damage out of it. Now, that doesn't mean it's not going to pay dividends later on, so long as he uses it correctly and his team works to give him those openings. But just allowing the Magnus to farm with you is a big win for DDC. And of course, Gyro's getting his farm too, so it's not as if he's doing poorly. But Magnus at 22 last hits at 5.5 minutes against the Gyro that should just be pounding him with Flak Cannon right now. A little bit surprising. Rattlesnake, recognizing they were dewarded, now the pull happening, they're going to move over to try and challenge this. Healing ward is down from Jugger, going to make it very difficult for them to come over. And so far, though, Sylar just happy to take his farm. Talking about farm, Sylar and Juggernaut roughly on par with each other. We can see Kabu sitting at 15, 18 now for the DK. But 1 for 1 in the lane. Pretty even try on try, as even as you're really going to see in most cases. Need to take a look at the experience, though. That'll really tell us a lot. We can see Bane level 3, Shadow Demon level 3, Nyx level 3. The experience going the way, and that's not unexpected at all. I mean, when you run an offensive tri-lane, and this is something that, talking to pro players, you know, it's a really, it seems really intuitive, but it's often overlooked in terms of just insight into the various ways you can deal with an offensive tri-lane. Is common knowledge would say, you know what, let's just stay under our tower. That's how we can stay safe. We can just, you know, we can pull to get creep equilibrium and such. But what you can do is what we saw here. This last pull was challenged, but you know, you can single pull. You can intentionally shove the lane out, even if you don't come out yourself and look to push. And that puts the enemy heroes in the offensive tri-lane behind an experience. Luo almost dies here, actually. I'm a little surprised. Oh, that's why. He already used his blink. I was going to say a little surprised he didn't just blink and go for that. But anyway. So yeah, that's an option you have. Outside of trying to play back and defensive, you can intentionally shove your lane out if you're in a defensive tri-lane, and that forces the enemy to be a little under-leveled. And you can capitalize on that in the later stages or the mid stages of the early game. Now, as we approach 10 minutes, we're going to start to see that experience gap make a difference. And this is why Rattlesnake's doing this here. They're now going to try to get DDC. DDC has an RP to get himself out of trouble. Calldown's going to be there. Good follow-up stun, though. And the skewer going to be a day late and a dollar short. Very effectively executed gank here out of Rattlesnake. Beautifully timed follow-up impale out of Sag. And that was clutch, by the way. If they give him any time at all, he's going to RP, and chances are catch at least one of the supports needed to make that kill happen. But very well done, and that helps Gyro make up some ground after the Magnus had such a really good start. Still sitting at 33 last hits, right on top of the board. Queen of Pain's at 29, DK at 26. Puck being shoved around a bit, but still getting the job done. He's at 20. Really the supports on either side, you know, as one would expect, the ones hurting in terms of farm. We see the ping, they recognize a ward did just go down. And what I really want to see of a number of things is how Icy decides to build. Obviously, yep, he is going to get his phase. I was going to say phase boots probably make the most sense for him now. Now we're going to have Split Earth actually delays that. Well timed on both sides. Disruption and Split Earth thrown out at the exact same time. And a buyback from Queen of Pain after being picked off, going after Luo. Let's see if she can chase him down. Didn't even see the pickoff. And he's 2 seconds. Nope, going to get away. That, not the best spin buyback I've ever seen in history. Nope, never mind. Puck is going to be able to orb himself to the north, I should say. The creeps, not quite going to get him. And one auto attack makes it 1 for 1. Now, though, Nyx Assassin going to engage.
I'm sorry.
Should not be able to get this kill and won't, as the blink is off cooldown. But anyway, make it 2 to 3. And now the RP going to be spent on Icy. There's the skewer back, and Icy playing a little bit too chest out. Will be cleaned up. And DDC with the heels of his feet singed by the call down, still able to keep himself alive. Now we're going to have an engagement on bottom. And Sylar eating some damage, pops his ulti. Doesn't look like it's going to be enough, though. And now, oh wow, the follow-up Dragon Tail. Look at the pure burst. That's Brain Sap plus Breathe Fire. And I talked about that during the draft, just how potent, and that's just 2 parts of it. That's without Lesh even being there. Didn't think Sylar was going to be able to survive long enough to get any of that off, but benefits from the Dragon form. And yeah, that's a lot of damage they can pour out at any given point. 3 points in the Brain Sap, 3 points in the Breathe Fire. And that's going to make Rattlesnake think twice about trying that again. Blade Fury is at level 3 as well. But make it 4 to 3, favoring LGD this time. The gold, 750. in the direction of LGD. Very marginal lead, 1,500 experience, quite marginal as well. Very close game this time. Much different picture. Now we're going to have a disruption. And the follow-up call down, good coil, going to lock down Siler. And Long DD looking for safety. Doesn't look like he's going to... He actually brain saps Lanham. That was a little greedy. Don't know that he was going to get helped anyway. Yeah, there's just no way anyone could really TP down to help without risking dying as well. Zhao 8 ran his way over and now being pursued by Kabu. And Kabu's just going to go for it, man. And there's the Edict. The damage from Edict, of course, mixed, so he can't afford to sit and tank through it. With those phase boots, nothing but a wand, he is very, very squishy right now in comparison to other heroes on the board and the damage output they can have. But the tower does drop. There's an Omni Slash on Siler. They might re-engage. Homing missile going to connect. Now puck going to go in. Beautiful split earth and scream of pain coming out from LGD though. Coming out of the woodwork. And in the meantime, Mag able to bring down a mid tower, so they trade 1 for 1. And LGD able to maintain their kill lead as well. Take a look at DDC. He's got his arcs up already. He's only 700 gold away from his Blink Dagger. And now we're going to have Zhao 8 isolated out. He's down. Sentry Ward drops, and Siler going to engage. Sonic Wave's going to be spent, but nothing caught with it. Now the counter initiation, Long DD. Trying to keep himself alive with Brain Sap, not going to work. And that was just an awkward engagement out of LGD. Now they want to go back in. Those Siler's there chasing a target. He's going to spin his Dragon Tail, but the magic damage coming out of Rocket Barrage too much. DDC gonna skewer and catch 2! Ready to clean them up. Here comes help in the form of Kabu. Lanham will be able to disrupt himself. Kabu making a run. Now the TP reaction. Now goes the coil. Luo wants to engage. Got the silence off and the counter initiation there. Money in the bank for Rattlesnake. Magnus should have dropped there. Not sure why they all turned to chase one hero with no health, but DDC now with the potential to try and get away. He's gonna have the skewer in 4 seconds. And they're just going to break off throughout the shockwave. It's a big middle finger. Saying, nope. Mag stays alive this time, as is, though, RS. Gets the return kills they need. They're up 8 to 7 now in terms of kills. Mag not dying there, though, is a big deal. Because, you know, I mean, it's not the biggest deal in history. He would have lost a few hundred gold. But that means he's going to have his Blink Dagger right now. It means he's going to have Blink for the next time RP's off cooldown. And LGD... at this stage of the game, has much stronger team fight. They just do, so long as they take the fight on their own terms. And that's going to be the story of this entire match, I think. Who gets the jump on who? If Puck's able to get in and silence the heroes he needs to silence the most, namely the Queen of Pain and the Magnus, then Rattlesnake can roll. If Puck isn't there, or he's late on the trigger, and RP goes off first, the pure burst down potential that LGD has, the pure punching power, is going to be way too strong in these mid-game stages for him to react adequately or in time to save his team. Shadow Demon's certainly going to be there to help out some too. They're going to have the counter initiation potential that comes with the Juggernaut, his ability to get himself out of trouble and turn a fight with the power of Omni Slash and Blade Fury. But in particular, it's going to be Gyrocopter who's going to be the liability. He's actually going to go drums. I'm a little surprised by that. He may just go drums then damage, drum Shadow Blade or something like that. I feel like a BKB is so necessary for him. He is going to die so fast. I mean, he's level 10, he's sitting on 1100 hit points. The drums are certainly going to tank him up. But with the sheer amount of stuns, the sheer amount of magic damage output and disables that he's going to be susceptible to, it's just remarkable, really. Icy finding his farm at top, but we do see a smoke up out of LGD, and they know that if they can keep him down long enough, they're going to be just fine. And they're going to try to catch him napping at the wheel. And here comes the immediate reaction. And Luo's going to be there. He's going to throw out a coil. That's 2 versus 4. They're going to go for it. Silence on Siler. Cooldown going to catch 2. Long DD Nightmare, but look at the damage output coming out of this. Good reinitiation. Though Sonic Wave going to catch just before the Omni Slash. Here comes DDC. He's got a Blink Dagger. Oh, the RP wound up. Doesn't need it. As we see Fiend's Grip enough to hold him down. Skewers away just out of range. Zhao 8 the next target, but now reinitiated on. Lanham lands a good disruption to keep him fighting. What an RP! Came out immediately after the disruption ended, but not enough damage to follow it up. Split Earth caught 2, though. Zhao 8 money in the bank. Shadow Demon's down. We've got another kill, and that's a full wipe. LGD That's one of those fights where at any given moment I would have said they looked like they were going to lose. It seems like Siler had no health the entire time. But the re-engagements, the patience it took, and the precision in particular of Zhao 8 and of Magnus. Just remarkable turnaround for LGD. They now swing it in their favor. They take a tower, and it's 12-9 after they clear the board of their opponents. Right at 15 minutes. 3,000 gold, now their advantage, making 3,000 experience as well. We're going to see Queen of Pain going for a BKB. She's got an Ogre Club in her inventory. Zhao 8 with an urn plus a set of treads. Taking a look at Luo, hasn't really showed us much except his treads. Back to Icy. Yeah, okay, I like this better. Got a bracer, now picks up his Ogre Club. He has to have a BKB. He absolutely has to. Otherwise, anytime he's stunned, everyone's just going to turn and focus fire him. Kabu getting Drumshay is, you know, and this is predicted. Phase Drum's going to be his build. What he wants to build after that, really up to him. And there's actually a variation of this, depending, and now that I look around, I bet what he's going to do is go Phase Drum's mech. And I've seen Juggernauts do that before. And it just basically is recognizing that, hey, I'm not at all worried about trying to carry late game. I just want to get my team. I want to be the anchor hero for my team in the mid game, and then free the map up for my primary carry, which is, of course, going to be the Gyrocopter. But now, Magnus, with his first point into Empower, or one of his first points, he's just got 1 point, is probably what I should say. And we see a little counter initiation. Carapace making them think twice. Now the Demonic Purge on Siler slows him down. Homing Missile will connect, but they don't seem interested in trying to engage out off of that, and they don't. Very important fight here. If they decide to just go for this, this could go horribly for LGD or horribly for Rattlesnake. Gonna come down again to who has the reach. Magnus with his Blink and his RP ready to go. Puck has his entire repertoire available to him. Luo setting up shop in the shadow of the woods, just next to the dire side Ancients. And LGD, not afeared. They are not afeared of nothing. And here we go. Call down's going to connect. This might be a little early for Rattlesnake. What a Fiend's Grip. Long DD, catching him. Oh, wow! The RP and the Sonic Wave put together perfectly. The Skewer's going to chase him back down again. DDC eating a lot of damage, will not be able to clean up the gyro. Oh, wow! Millisecond coordination. Millisecond coordination. The Sonic Wave was en route before the blink even happened. LGD just made me leave my seat in excitement. 16-10. I am just utterly stunned. What a fantastic performance out of Yao and out of DDC. These guys making it look easy. Making it look like they're fighting with one mind and certainly with one goal. 18.5 and RS already hurting pretty badly. Take a look at the gold following that engagement. They got the tier 1 on top of another near team wipe. The gold jumping itself up just about an equal increment. Close to 6,000 advantage now in terms of both gold and experience. Kabu has completed his drums. Now we'll see what item he wants to pick up next. I think it's going to be mech. I suspect that's going to be his choice there. Nyx Assassin might be on his way to a Dagon. Picked up a Null Talisman. Still on his tier 1 boots though. So really tough to call something like that out. Lanham most likely going to be looking for an urn of his own. And at this point, LGD just has no reason to let up off the gas. None whatsoever. And they're showing it. They might be able to get 2 here. Kabu still was just level 1 in his Omni/A actually went the wrong way. If LGD bends to the left there, they get 2 kills and probably another tier 2. Or their first tier 2, I should say. Long DD tanking himself up, has 2 bracers. Now we're going to see immediate TP reactions here in mid, though. They're going to go ahead and Nightmare Lanham. And DDC just going for it on Icy. They should be able to clean him up, and they do. So the Shadow Demon drops, and they're going to trade a tier 1 for a tier 2 here, it looks like. They're not TPing out of this top lane yet. And yeah, LGD should just get a free tower here. Maxed out Edict on Zhao, more than enough to bring this down in due course. And actually hasn't used it yet. That's a little surprising. Oh, it's because it's on cooldown. That explains why. In the meantime, Rattlesnake going to try and do something at top. That's a near full health tower. Just one TP from Siler, enough to ward them off. And LGD backing off mid as well. They're going to try and catch Rattlesnake as they retreat here. Thought they were going to go through the jungle instead, taking the much more safe route, cheating a little bit towards their own towers. Kabu farming up the jungle. Icy does have his Mithril Hammer now, so he's about 1,300 gold away, give or take, from his BKB. Now, BKB's not going to solve all of his problems, but it's certainly going to help. It's going to prevent the... I mean, again, I talked about it during the draft. Sonic Wave, Shockwave, combined with RP, that alone is enough to blow up almost anyone. Then you have Edict, then you have Breathe Fire, then you have Brain Sap, so on and so forth. That'll help him deal with that and be able to survive through something like that. RP obviously goes through our BKB, so not going to prevent him from being stunned out if he is the primary target, but the right-click damage not nearly as potent on the side of LGD as the magic damage. Speaking of right-click damage, that's the build Siler has opted for. He's under cover of a Shadow, or actually an Invis rune now, but he does have a Shadow Blade in his inventory as well. Shadow Blade freshly completed. And very similar to the build he went in Game 1. I really like this approach. And down goes the Tier 2, uncontested. And this is just trademark LGD. They're going to fall back, farm a little more, then push another Tier 2. They will systematically do this over and over and over until Rattlesnake takes a fight. Now, something Rattlesnake could do to try and turn this around is try to take a sneaker Roshan, because this is predictable out of LGD what they do. They always fall back, rely on their vision, and reset for another tower push. If you're able to de-ward the Roche Pit, you can do something, or even if you don't want to de-ward, you just want to smoke in, you can. But it doesn't look like... I mean, again, that is a very Hail Mary pass out of them, by the way. I'm not saying it's the most optimum strategic thing they could do. But when you are beginning to fall behind like this, and it's beginning to feel like Game 1, which you just got completely run over top in, sometimes you have to take a risk like that. Sometimes you just got to look to turn things around in another way. 22 minutes into this game, 7,500 gold, 5,000 experience, the advantage going the way of LGD right now. Kabu with 1,000 gold in the bank, probably saving for buyback if I had to guess, just knowing he's going to have to defend another tower soon. Arc Boot's done on Lanham. He is going to be getting an urn of his own. Taking a look at Luo. He's got 1,700 gold in the bank, likely on his way to a Blink Dagger. And LGD asserting their dominance over the river near the Roche Pit. Long DD actually has a gem, so they're looking to take away as much vision as they can. DDC is going to be getting a BKB of his own, just to guarantee that when he wants to fight, he's ready to fight. He's able to drop the RP without being stunned out no matter what. Stunned out, disrupted, you name it. Rattlesnake still very much in this game. Again, Icy not far away from his BKB. 700, 600 gold, give or take. But LGD just so methodical. They will trade a Tier 1 for a Tier 2 any day of the week. And they're going to get here in time to defend it is what's sick. Their movement and decision-making is just so good. Now, Kabu, just look at the right-click already coming out of Siler. Oh, he thought about it. Thought about it. I'm actually, that's probably, I mean, right now, they could just go ahead and push. DDC, yep, that's how you do it, buddy. I saw you. Don't worry. AC saw you, Mag. Saw you cancel it. We've seen some clutch, and I do mean clutch, RP cancels throughout Phase 3. We really have. But anyway, Zhao 8 onto a BKB of his own. He's got an urn plus treads. And Rattlesnake hoping they can find something. They're going to find a Leshrac. Can they catch up with him? Luo goes for it. DDC's right across the river. And they opt to turn around. Probably the right call to make. Nope. Siler's going to go for it. Just look at Sag. Now disrupted. Probably. No. Wow. Great timing on the Split Earth as well. Bought him a little bit of time. Himself with a little bit of time with the Carapace. Zhao 8 does get another kill. And now Lanham not going to be able to get away. Yao spins the Sonic Wave to clean him up. And Luo caught now. RP spent. One by one. Inch by inch. Step by step. RS just being dismantled by LGD China for the second game in a row. 20-11. Gyro does finish his BKB. At least he wasn't a victim there. But, I mean, Gyro is an excellent late-game carry, but I talked about this in Game 1 in terms of dealing with the right-click damage that comes out of, say, a hero like a Lifestealer or a Lone Druid. The problem with Gyro is he's, you know, I mean, once you get late and BKBs are out, hang on, hold that thought. Cliff's going to be popped. No mech up on either team right now, by the way. That's something that's a little bizarre. Don't see that very often. And Kabu's actually going to get himself a Yasha. That really surprises me. I really don't like that pick at all. But whatever. They're behind. They feel like they need more damage. Understandable. But so far as the right-click damage that's going to be coming out of their Juggernaut and of their Gyrocopter, I mean, Rocket Barrage is going to remain potent throughout all phases of the game, but again, BKBs are going to begin to nullify that eventually, and we can already see the BKBs beginning to be completed on the side of LGD. Yao with one in his inventory already. Zhao 8. He's got... Yeah, okay, Zhao 8 just got a mech. That makes sense to me. Get your Ogre Club, then get your mech. And a BKB DDC. Siler probably going to pick one up as well. He could just buy a flat-out set of drums if he wants, but at this point, I feel like he'd be much better served just one-shot buying a BKB here in about 1,000 gold. But anyway, once that comes out, you're relying on right-click damage predominantly in a lot of these fights, be it out of Kabu, be it out of Icy, etc. And you're going to have to be trying to right-click down a really well-farmed, really well-leveled Dragon Knight, who is currently tops in terms of net worth. The top four of the top 5, I'll put it that way, in terms of net worth, all belonging at this stage to LGD. The highest farmer on the side of Rattlesnake, which is Gyro, is in range of Leshrac. That's how far ahead LGD is right now. They're just going to go for it. But what I was going to say was the right-click damage against a DK, who is innately tanky, is going to build tanky items, and has the bonus armor of Dragon's Blood, is going to make it very hard to bring him down. And he is a huge anchor in these fights. And here we go. There's the Waning Rift. They're going to try to engage off that. Impale actually doesn't catch anyone. What an RP! Caught 3. 2 cleaned up. Sonic Wave chained together. The Enfeeble's up on Icy, so he's doing nothing. He may as well be giving him a back massage. If he wants to give him a kiss on the cheek, you got to buy him dinner first. 23-11, and the GGs come out. LGD, looking like the LGD of old. They took one tough loss to Orange. They got past their brothers in arms in LGD International, but all throughout those series, they showed some weaknesses. They did not look like the LGD you expect. What in the case today, I'll tell you. The LGD squad today looks as good as any team on the planet, and I don't say that to build hype. Having watched Invictus Gaming lately, having watched Orange, having watched, all of the teams, the amazing talent, DK, etc., that we have here in Phase 3, I don't know that I've seen a team look as good at any one given time or in any one given series as LGD looked today. Just a truly phenomenal performance in a series that I think most of us, myself certainly included, expected to be a lot closer than it was, with so much on the line. LGD just making it look easy. 28 minutes, 4 seconds, the official game time, 23-11, the final kill score, and Rattlesnake, who could have won their way into the LAN finals today, who, if they had walked away victors, would have been on their way to the LAN finals. Instead, they lose 0-2, and they are eliminated. They are gone. LGD keeps their hopes alive, and it has, in effect, by the way, punched the ticket of Orange. With this win, LGD moves themselves into a tie for first with Orange. Orange beat LGD earlier, therefore the tie-break advantage goes to Orange. Orange going to the live finals here at the G1 Champions League. LGD going to be our 2 seed, our 3 seed, going to be LGD International. And Rattlesnake, a great team, a great team. And I really hope they don't disband. I really hope this wasn't like a team they put together just to play one tournament, see how it went, and then they all go their separate ways. I feel like they have so much potential in the future. Really want to see them reach that potential. No questioning the potential of LGD. 1,700 people in game saw it. Can't imagine how many thousands saw it. Returning to old form and playing Dota like only they can.